I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Who is the lucky brunette?
Last name Beeswax, first name Nunia.
Oh, my third wife is biracial.
It's simple, really. First we...
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss.
Time for Full Court Press with Connor. He has hot takes from In the Paint, tough picks from the top of the key, and the best scoops on the NBA from downtown.
And like that, it's over. Full Court Press with Connor. Connor, thank you very much for being on. So it seems like we've been doing the playoffs since about the first of the year, right? I mean, about 6 months into the playoffs. Seems like forever.
Pretty much.
But it's done, and I want to give you cred. I think for the most part, for the whole season, you're pretty right on. OKC was going to be OKC. You called that pretty on. I don't know if any of us really figured out what the Pacers were, but you got onto that bandwagon pretty quick as well. You picked some of the others that fell. Indiana takes Oklahoma City to 6.5 games. I mean, literally, they're ahead at halftime. Wrap up that series for me in your mind. Did they overplay their cards? Was it some fluky thing?
Well, I think ultimately it's the same reason that Indiana's season next year is already over. And that's that Tyrese Halliburton got hurt in the first 3 minutes, and significantly so. I believe a ruptured Achilles. And he's going to be out until after the playoffs next year. I think Indiana had that first spurt of energy and of, hey, we're playing for Tyrese, and you just can't keep that up forever. The only quarter that they lost was the third, and they lost it by 14, and that was the difference in the game. And that's just the way it is. And Oklahoma City came out of the half, much sharper. And you can't let that happen if you're Indiana.
I don't know how quickly they can change a game plan, right? I mean, Halliburton's in the game. You have a setup for him. We got to make sure Halliburton doesn't beat us. 7.5 minutes in, he blows the Achilles, which, by the way, he knew when he hit the floor, right? I mean, you just know
really
that.
Sad to watch him reacting to him. Knowing, it didn't even seem like he was reacting to the pain. He was really reacting to knowing that the series is over and that his next season's over.
But now your team gets jacked up. We can do this, like you said. We're going to do it for Halliburton. We're going to make this, and you can kind of fly on that because I don't think OKC can on the fly make the switch on the defense. So got it. They go in at halftime, but I don't know if anybody, maybe Vegas was telling me this, was betting that it wasn't OKC's to lose. You go in now, Indiana's got to sit there for 20 minutes saying, can we do this? Can we really do? I mean, how high can you keep yourself up? And OKC's in, okay, number one guy's out, do this. Now we do this. And like you say, trounced him in the third quarter, and it was over after that. One thing I will give OKC some credit for, other games where the teams were able to come back, because they do give that up, they kept saying, just keep playing the same way, this fast version. Well, then you miss 2-3 shots. They make 2-3 shots. It's over. Once they got the 20 points or what it was, okay, guys, take it down. Take 24 seconds off the clock. We missed. You don't get trounced on. They were never going to lose that game in the fourth.
No. They were dialed in, and they lost the fourth by 1 point. But it was not a score-a-thon necessarily, and I think Indiana sales were just deflated. Halliburton, arguably, and I think maybe inarguably the best player on that team. Certainly the leader of that team, and that was really, really deflating for them to lose him. Just really a shame, honestly, for what should have been an awesome Game 7. And it ended up being a bit of a battle, but
it wasn't what it could have been.
Like I told you, I did not expect an injury, but like I told you, Oklahoma City by 12 actually I think might have been what we guessed. Heading into the game.
On the OKC deal, so you literally see 2 days later, ESPN, one of those places, comes out with their rankings for 25-26 season. Obviously OKC's at the top, right? I mean, they've got everything. And will they not be on the top for years? I'm under the impression most of this team isn't even got contracts coming up for 2 years, right? They're all locked in. This team is going to be a player for a while. That doesn't
They're
bother.
Super young. I don't think that they'll repeat. I don't think that they'll
really?
probably be a top 3 team in the West next year, but no.
Explain yourself. You said they didn't have experience. Now they went to the glory land. They know what it takes to win, and now you're knocking them? Yeah,
Well,
what? Explain yourself.
everybody got hurt on their way to a championship this year, but Denver had experience and the best player in the world, and they didn't, weren't all that impressive, frankly. Took OKC to 7, but no, I think there's just too much talent in the West. Houston picked up Kevin Durant. That will be interesting to see.
We're going to talk about
that 2 seed, is going to be better. The Lakers have an off season to work with Luka and LeBron. Who knows if LeBron's still around? But
I did read that they have put up Bronny LeBron, the kid. Mm-hmm. They have put him up for trade talks. If you're interested, you could pick him up. I read that yesterday.
For $45 and
and a jersey,
stadium hot dogs. Yeah.
All right, that's just mean. Okay. When we do this, what do you think teams have to do? You talk about this being in there. How does Golden State move up? They've got to, obviously it's in the draft or it's some sort of trade. You saw what Houston was willing to do. They want to play. LA did their trade early. They don't have to do anything remarkable, right? What do teams have to do to make that? Denver.
So Denver probably is okay. I think they had the players. They have the players. They might shake some things up. My guess is they'll move somebody and bring in some young guys, some shooters and things. But with Jokic, you can really make most things work. In terms of Golden State, I think the Steph and Jimmy Butler experiment clearly paid off. You probably got to get rid of Draymond Green. The truth is you're going to run out of runway where he's worth anything. So you probably are going to see him traded away. I still think Golden State is in the running to bring Giannis to the Bay. And if that happens,
really,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else has. I mean, that's a championship waiting to happen. The Clippers continue to be strong. I mean, I think Kawhi Leonard, if he keeps playing, and James Harden, that actually could be a really good duo. Those guys both kind of in the sunset of their careers. In Minnesota, we'll talk about the draft, but I think
we are going to talk about this draft.
I think there's some things going on, and I think you're going to be happy about it, Al.
I probably will. Let's go to break. We'll just wrap that up with a bow. That was 2025. What we'll talk about is coming up and possible trades. I want to talk the KD deal because I think actually Houston got by cheap. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about any other trades we think might come up, and then you've got to look at what's going on in the NBA draft. Connor's correct. I might be happy. I know the one man who may not be. Hello, Gobi. Back after this.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
And we've got him, Connor, with Full Court Press, talking about now what's going to happen for next season when we wrap this up. Obviously, Connor, Dallas had nothing to consider, right? You had to take Cooper. Cooper's the kid. And isn't this the weirdest draft that literally it was one was a guarantee and everything else that was, a crapshoot, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I got to give a shout out to Con Knuppel of Duke, who went to the Hornets at 4. He's actually a cousin of one of my very good friends, Wisconsin guy, Wisconsin Player of the Year in high school here just not long ago. I mean, the guy's 19 or 20 years old. Should be really fun to see him play alongside one of the Ball brothers in Charlotte.
So, obviously, again, Mavs picked who they had to pick. Anybody stand out for you? And I throw this out. Houston gave up the only 2 picks they had this year, but they got Kevin Durant.
Right.
That's got to be right up there, right? I mean, that doesn't go south on you. You got a known quantity. Everybody except Cooper will see how they do.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. For the most part, Kevin Durant's obviously aging. They really kind of gave a lot for a guy who's, 85 years old. Houston was
we would have taken him in a minute.
Yeah, apparently he didn't want to come here, which is
how's that hurt?
Apparently we gave him an offer that included Gobert, DiVincenzo, young guy, and a first-round pick, and he said no, thank you.
No one will let Gobe. No one wants Gobe. You don't want to be in a trade with Gobe.
The thing that the Rockets were missing last year was a true pure scorer, and now they have it. So now they gave up a young star, Dylan Brooks, a young star and Dylan Brooks, to be very clear, and the 10th pick, which ultimately became a center for the Suns. But like you said, you got Kevin Durant, and even if he's a 25 point per game scorer or a 25 or 23 point per game scorer because he's older, the teams are still going to respect him, and that's what the Rockets really were missing last year. So I like the move for the Rockets. They became relevant again. We'll see how it pans out. But
when you look at the draft itself, if you weren't on Rutgers or Duke, go home for a while, right? Were they Duke clearly that? I mean, I think all 5 of their guys went in the first round. Was Duke clearly that much better in every position that you couldn't take the forward from here? Duke went 1st, 4th, 10th, 3 in the top 10 and 5 in the top 30. Were they that dominant?
I think so. They obviously still have a culture of, if you want to play the highest level of college basketball, you go to Duke. Sorry, North Carolina, that's just the way it is. Even with.
But how did the others stand out if you have Cooper on your team? What I get is you got a lot of assists because you gave him the ball and he scored. I mean, how do the others even stand out when the number 1 guy's there? I guess was my thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of based on a lot on high school prospect ranking and things like that. Cooper's still a head and shoulders above everybody, but if they have the bodies and the talents and the things to make a team better, that's what they're going to go for. The center that got drafted is 7'1". You can teach a 7'1" player a lot of things. He was also the Basketball Without Borders MVP in 2023. He played professionally in South Sudan before he played for Duke. So, I mean,
wait a minute. He's played for South Sudan? I'm sorry. I take back everything I know because the heck are you talking?
At professional basketball, regardless of where it is.
At any league, at any level. All right. Well, guess what? I played professionally at men's newsball at the rec center for a better part of 5 years. Doesn't make me a ball player, Connor. Let me throw
also
this
not 7'1", Al.
Oh, you keep throwing that in my face. Okay. The Timberwolves. You get it to the conference finals 2 years in a row. If you don't do something, aren't you saying we're okay that we go no further? You just talked about the West, how hard it is. Minnesota took a French center at 17, a Juan Berenguer, and decided to trade down to get the 45th pick for Rocco Zakarski, another one who I believe kicked butt in the Somalian League, whatever you just got, Sudan League. Connor, you can't find video of either of these two people unless you go to their home videos from their mom and dad's cell phone. Why are we picking these two people?
Well, I think it'd be pretty interesting if Gobert got sent somewhere else and replaced with another French center. So that would be poetic, and possibly the plan that's in place. Look, I think that it's very clear that the teams, in large part now, are looking for that next great European player. You know, the best players in the world right now are all not from the United States of America. Luka Doncic, Nikola
You are
Jokic,
not allowed to say that in this show. You
Gilgeous
may think it,
Alexander.
but God
It's
bless
true.
America, Connor.
You throw Giannis in there in the top 10. I mean, I would say it's not ridiculous to say that at least half of the top 10 players in the NBA are not from the United States. And so, you know, that doesn't mean it's still not a U.S. dominated league and we don't kick the crap out of everybody in the Olympics. But the point is, you know, you can go get a player that has played actual professional basketball against actual full grown, mature, both mentally from a basketball standpoint and also from a physicality standpoint. You know, Luka Doncic played professionally in Slovenia or whatever for like 8 years or something. He's been playing since he was 14 or something crazy. Yeah. And look what he came in and he's been absolutely dominant since he started in the league. So, you know, there's definitely alternative ways to find really, really good players. And I think, you know, if you're Minnesota, frankly, I think a flyer is kind of what you're looking for. I think that is sort of the difference.
But who's going to take Rudy? He's got a $100 million a year contract, I think, for 2 more years. If you could slough that off to anybody, you now have enough money to pay Nas, to pay Randall, to play Walker, and you're losing one guy and maybe one of the free Luka Garza. Get him back in the game. I don't care. There is some room, but can you name a team that needs a center that bad that they'll pay the $100 million for? Well,
there's definitely going to be a team. I mean, he's still the 4-time defensive player of the year. He still is a statistical defensive player. I mean, I think we'd agree that he doesn't necessarily show up in the moments that we feel like we need him, but there's definitely value there still. And again, it's similar to the Golden State thing. You don't want to wait until there's no value like Draymond Green. You don't want to wait until you can't get even picks, or, if you're just getting cash considerations or he just leaves, that's not going to help you either. So
is that the only thing you see going on? Because here's my point. We have a chance. Name a team to get 2 finals in a row. You have to throw something positive in the mix for the hope to get there and go to the next step. Other than getting rid of Ruby and do something, I don't see what that is. Well, 2 years from now, we're losing players.
Yeah, I think you throw, potentially Barringer. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Johan Barringer. It's
there
French.
You go. I would guess that, they think he's going to be able to start and play minutes. And if that's the case, now you've got him, Nas, and Gobert maybe. And if Gobert, doesn't do anything differently, and Barringer turns out to have some chops, quickly, maybe you can offload Rudy and, still have a pretty strong, large team. I think that it's going to be a combination of something like this where you draft somebody and they surprise everybody, and Anthony Edwards taking a step forward, one more step into true, top 5 player category. That's what's going to get you over the hump.
That's fair enough, Connor. We're out of time. It's been a great season. I thank you very much for doing this the whole way through. Maybe if some huge trade happens, I can pull you back in, but you've fulfilled your contract. I appreciate you, my friend. Really do.
See you in the fall, Al.
All right, my friend, it's Connor and Full Court Press. We'll get him back. We'll talk the 25-26 season next time we talk with him.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests